Hi, it's Lee, and welcome to the Tesla Economist. Everyone is so focused on what is happening with the 4680s, no one's looking at what's going on with LFP cells, and I'm starting to get the feeling that Tesla have a lot more LFP cells these days. And just as this was occurring to me, we just suddenly hear that Tesla finally have enough cells that they're able to supply their energy storage business too. This really didn't come as too much of a surprise. We knew that CATL were expanding at quite a rate. It all started when we heard that CATL had major plans for a new battery plant in Shanghai around mid-2021, obviously near Tesla's Gigafactory. This new factory was going to have an 80 gigawatt hour annual capacity. However, CATL ended up finding an existing fab that met their requirements, and instead retrofitted that and made some extensions, thus saving the time for construction. Of course, we don't know to what proportion of the sales will be allocated to Tesla, but it sounds like the vast majority. Well, here we are, over 1 year later, and it's starting to feel like Tesla sure have quite a few extra LFP cells. About this time last year, Tesla were already at around 56,000 vehicles in September 2021 in China. Now that rate was roughly dictated by the rate at which the cells were available, but then we knew there were more obviously on the way with this new factory, potentially 80 gigawatt hours. But even if it's just 60 gigawatt hours allocated to Tesla, well, that's an additional 1 million standard Teslas a year, or around 80,000 a month, taking Tesla's previous level last year to about 120,000 a month. This is why Tesla upgraded their lines recently, because CATL's new factory is finally operational and ramping up, so Tesla need to match CATL's supply. Remember, Tesla is always cell constrained, always, for the whole decade at least. Whenever there are more cells, then Tesla will upgrade their lines or build more factories so they can sell more cars, as there are a lot of people wanting Teslas, and I don't blame them. Perhaps if Tesla's supply starts increasing, then they may even drop the prices, or perhaps start advertising. I think spending $1,000 even on advertising per vehicle would increase demand a lot more than simply reducing the price by $1,000. Before you say Tesla won't advertise, Elon has said he's open to it. And we're hearing these days that Shanghai may hit about 100,000 vehicles a month. And we've had other articles suggesting just the Model Y line might be around 2,200 vehicles a day, or around 67,000 a month, implying just 33,000 Model 3s to reach 100,000. Well, if this CATL fab is producing this rate, then there are certainly the cells available. That's not enough though. Even with Berlin and Texas at 500,000 Model Ys each a year, we still aren't hitting that 2 million a year Model Y run rate. The Model Y is going to be a very popular vehicle. It's only just really starting to proliferate through Europe, let alone the likes of Australia. And who sells the most Teslas? Tesla owners, who are right now telling all their friends about their new Model Y and how amazing it is, and that they should buy one too. So CATL are building a new factory, almost across the road from Giga Shanghai. We don't know to what sort of capacity this factory might have. It's also rumoured that part of it will be some sort of research facility too. However, it has been confirmed that Tesla are also expanding their Shanghai operations with a new plant that is rumoured to have a 450,000 annual capacity. This plant is eventually meant to take total Shanghai production to around 2 million a year. We don't however know what vehicle might be produced here. There is lots of speculation and anyone is really guessing. Some say it might be the robotaxi, but Elon said that won't be in production until late 2024, so those timelines don't match. Some people think it's going to be a compact model, but 450,000 annual capacity will not come close to demand. What probably makes most sense to me is that new CATL plant will be producing their M3P cells, which are their new cathode combining ternary batteries with iron phosphate, but doing so without nickel. These will offer more energy density than the standard LFP cells. They could possibly be 4680 cells too. I've heard rumours of Tesla looking at making 4680 cells in Shanghai, and perhaps this is what they're referring to. But either way, they would not be using the dry battery electrode process. However, they may be tabless, which might mean they can be used as a structural battery pack. Factor in more energy density and lower weight, along with other manufacturing improvements, and perhaps they're able to maybe get 260 miles of range from a Model Y from this battery. Maybe the battery will be slightly bigger than the rear-wheel drive version, maybe 65 or 70 kilowatt hours in order to achieve this. But considering the current Model Y only offers two battery versions, i.e. 60 kilowatt hour LFP or 80 kilowatt hour nickel, and it's going to be the largest selling vehicle in history, then perhaps it's not too far a stretch to suggest that there may be another battery variant. This would be the mid-range Model Y. It will be a new price point, which is probably necessary given the large discrepancy in price between the long range and the rear-wheel drive currently. It may even be sufficient enough range to serve the US market. However, I wouldn't have thought Tesla would export to that market. They may possibly set up the Model Y line in Fremont to use these batteries and make them there though, but if that was the case, then I'm not sure what Tesla would do with all the excess 2170 cells, especially if Texas is using 4680 by then. As a result of this additional influx of LFP, I believe this may have factored into Tesla's decision to stop selling the Model 3 long range. Well, several reasons really, which make sense to me. One being the fact that this vehicle doesn't qualify for the tax credit, whereas the standard version possibly might, although I don't believe we officially know just yet. But if it does, then that's a sub $40,000 Tesla, excluding any local subsidies and fuel savings. Hopefully not so many people complaining about Teslas being so expensive then, although I think it's mainly people complaining that they can't afford a Model Y long range, and they tell me because they cost $75,000 when they're actually below $60,000 with the subsidy anyway. Well, even if you can't afford that, then what's wrong with a sub $40,000 Model 3? Of course, Tesla could raise the prices of the rear-wheel drive Model 3, which would also mean they get even more profit from the rear-wheel drive again too. In addition to that, I think Texas may still want as many 2170 cells as possible, depending on when the 4680 cells will be running well. So this will free up some additional cells for that. Same with moving over to LFP for megapacks. It frees up a lot more 2170 cells for more Texas Model Ys. On top of that, Tesla simply make more profit per kilowatt hour of 2170 cell in a Model Y than a Model 3. And now they have more production capacity for Model Y opening up in Texas, it makes sense to allocate them to Model Y over Model 3, as the 2170 is currently in scarcity. As for Berlin, we're now hearing that they will hit volume production around the start of next year, slightly delayed, but again, this is not because they've magically ramped up 4680s either, nor is this because they've added to their stockpile of 2170s. No, this is because they're making cars in a market that are accepting of a rear-wheel drive Model Y, and again, Tesla have more LFP cells that they can use to ramp up that factory with rear-wheel drive Model Ys. No, it's not ideal and not the best path we wanted, but at the same time, it's pretty impressive that Tesla have managed to find a substitute in such a short period of time, and I'm going to assume that this is using BYD's blade cells. I'm not sure to what level BYD have been ramping up their blade cells, but they have been making bold claims about increasing their production too, to even overtake Tesla supposedly, with a target of 4 million EVs next year, and even 280,000 a month, maybe this year, with sales of 174,000 in August. That's not nothing. But of course, probably more than half of those also contain an internal combustion engine, and their cars are no fun to drive. And they're not taking any of Tesla's market share. Likewise, Tesla are not taking any of theirs. They're both eating up the internal combustion market. Either way, it sounds like BYD are expanding their battery capacity and helping Tesla along the way. CATL are also expanding in Europe too, with an enormous €7 billion 100 gigawatt hour plant announced in Hungary. It sounds like a lot of this plant is actually targeted at the likes of the European legacy autos, like BMW, Mercedes and Stellantis, but potentially Tesla too, you might assume. Although construction is not planned until next year. Although if these are their customers, then they'd likely be offering nickel cells too. Either way, this has all been an absolutely massive boost to Tesla and really given them a huge baseload of cells that they can deploy in various areas of the business to prop it up whilst they're still sorting out the 4680 production. Then, when 4680 cells come through, well, that's the big one. On top of all of this, when they ramp up and see the production numbers and profit, then, like I keep saying, I think we're going to finally see that stock price close to $1,000. I really don't think the market are factoring in this huge LFP boost, which isn't likely to stop anytime either. China are pumping out these low-cost LFP cells. They have a customer telling them, we want as many as you can make, even if it's 100 times more than they have now. Tesla have found miraculous ways of hitting triple volume production with their old manufacturing techniques. And then they're building a new factory soon to cater to all the extra supply CATL can give them. LFP is doing so much for Tesla, especially when you think about how few 2170 and 14680 sales Tesla have by comparison. Tesla is living off Chinese LFP sales and highly dependent on them, perhaps too dependent even. Yet in a couple of years, they may be able to match LFP with 4680. But like we say, Tesla could hit relative quarter P ratio of about 30 at today's stock price without 4680 if everything goes to plan. Then I'll say it again, I really think that $1,000 stock price tag is in sight. Elon said Tesla should be worth more than Apple one day, and that's about where Apple is today. So that adds up for me. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.